I wrote the letter because we want to walk in solidarity with the people of Cowessess.
Tonight, progress in getting an audience with the Pope about the unmarked graves at former residential schools.
To realize we need to do this on our own, by our own laws and on our own authority and power, not through provincial recognition or through permitting.
Hereditary chiefs in British Columbia say they will take the law into their own hands when it comes to natural resources.
One of our relations has left this world, and he froze on this land because there was no place for him to take shelter.
And a community in Quebec comes together to remember one of their own who froze to death in Montreal. Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. Many First Nation leaders have been calling for the Pope to come to Canada to apologize to residential school survivors. And they do have support from at least one member of the Catholic Church who has also been trying to get the Pope to come and apologize. APTN's Priscilla Wolf met with Donald Bolin, the Archbishop of the Regina region, and has more in this story.
When the Cowessess First Nation announced the 751 unmarked graves at the Old Merivale residential school site, the Archbishop of the Regina region, Donald Bolin, immediately wrote a letter of apology to Cowessess Chief Cadmus DeLorme.
I wrote the letter because we want to walk in solidarity with the people of Cowessess, and we want to help, and we share the emotion of this difficult moment.
Bolin adds that he's been working with Chief DeLorme for a few years to help identify the people buried in the Cowessess cemetery that was once run by the Catholic Church.
We have sacramental records, so records of baptisms and sacraments and death records, and we've shared that information as we're able with people from Cowessess.
He also adds he has been working with a group to get the Pope to come to Saskatchewan and apologize. The group has been planning for the past 2.5 years to visit the Vatican and plead to the Pontiff in person.
With that delegation, First Nations, Inuit and Métis survivors, elders, knowledge keepers, youth, accompanied by Indigenous leaders and bishops, will have a chance to meet with Pope Francis.
Archbishop Bolin says that the trip should be finalized and announced soon.
Lots of planning meetings over 2.5 years. The delegation probably would have happened already last year had it not been for COVID. But yes, it's going ahead before the end of this year.
Archbishop Bolin adds that both the government of Canada and the churches need to take responsibility, not just the Catholic Church. It's a shared responsibility.
I think the church needs to be called to task and is being called to task. I think the government needs to be called to task, and that doesn't really help when the government deflects its responsibility and pushes it back on the church, right? We got to take responsibility, and so does the government.
Archbishop Bolin has hope that the delegation will bring the Pope to Canada to apologize to the residential school survivors and the many, many descendants of those survivors. Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
And the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops has now confirmed that a delegation of First Nations, Inuit and Métis leaders will visit the Vatican this December to meet with Pope Francis. The province of British Columbia is providing $12 million to help fund the search for children's remains at residential school sites. A number of BC First Nations have asked for help in determining the next steps following the discovery of the remains of 215 children at the former residential school site in Kamloops. Specialized radar equipment is needed. Funding will also be used for commemorations and programs to help communities experiencing trauma. It was a moment, 5 months, and thousands of kilometers in the making. Raphael Andre, a homeless Innu man living in Montreal, was found dead in a portable toilet back in January. Late last month, his family and supporters came together at a downtown square for a memorial and a request. Lindsay Richardson was there.
It's a heavy moment in time that has brought us here. One of our relations has left this world, and he froze on this land because there was no place for him to take shelter. And it hurts our hearts that that has happened. And we have lost a good soul, a good human being.
The Andre family traveled thousands of kilometers south to give their son a proper send-off, 5 months after his unexpected death on a winter night in Montreal. Danielle Andre's father froze to death years ago. Back home in Matimakush, Lac John, he says the Innu do their best to shelter each other. The warming tent behind Danielle is named for his son, Raphael Naba Andre. In January, Naba's body was found in a porta potty near the homeless shelter he frequented, one forced to close at night at the height of the pandemic.
On dirait, je voyais partout mon frère. Quand je voyais un sans-abri, je voyais mon frère.
Carmen Andre is still grieving her older brother, but while in Montreal, she saw the need to protect others like him.
Moi, ce que je pense, la mort tragique de mon frère, il fallait que ça arrive pour qu'on voit, pour qu'on ouvre nos yeux, tout le monde, peu importe les races, qu'on ouvre que ça existe, les sans-abri, c'est des humains comme nous.
In the 5 months since Naba's death, Montreal's pandemic restrictions have lifted, temperatures have risen, but so have the number of homeless clients seeking help.
Moi, j'ai des statistiques à tous les soirs, combien de femmes, combien d'hommes j'ai reçus en une soirée, mais ma plus grosse journée a été de 159 personnes en une journée, c'est beaucoup.
Alexandra Ambroise is the Memorial Tent's coordinator. Creating the space was an effort shared among nations. Ganawage Mohawks helped finance it and donate hundreds of meals a day. The Innu Nation staffs it. The city of Montreal pitched in for the tent, but no one knows when it will have to come down.
Le message que je veux lancer, c'est un service essentiel, fait qu'on doit prolonger jusqu'à, je pourrais dire, qu'il y ait quelque chose de permanent, tu sais, pour la communauté, soit autochtone ou autre.
When someone passes away on the street, it's not just a statistic, it's an actual human, right, that really wanted good things to happen. And take a look behind you about what they're creating. This is a multi-million-dollar condo, right? And we're not asking for millions of dollars. How can you have this multi-million-dollar condo and still allow people to die in the streets?
It's a question asked by many, including Naba's friends in the street community.
That's a good man. So that's why I speak of all our friends on the street. I speak for them. I was there.
Naba's mother didn't plan to speak, but she had this message spoken through a translator.
She came here with a heavy heart, and today is different because yesterday she went through the paces where her son went, but today she feels more lighter and she's very happy. She's here with us.
It was a bittersweet day for closure. Together, the Andre family and their supporters pray their unfathomable loss will one day turn into a permanent service gain. Lindsay Richardson, APTN National News, Montreal.
To British Columbia, where a Gitxsan House is controlling access to a forestry road. The house, led by their hereditary chiefs, is reoccupying their land and asserting their rights. APTN's Lee Wilson reports.
We have never ever left our lands. Our chiefs and our yes taught us about this land.
Gitxsan Hereditary Chief Anquilibets sits among House or Wilp Getlusum Hetwet members and chiefs. They have been reoccupying their territory since last month, when they built a gate on a forestry road.
With a strong house like ours that's coming together with all the spouses been behind, we're stronger. And
the Gitxsan and Wet'suwet'en are neighboring nations in northern BC. Hereditary chiefs in both nations were part of the historic Supreme Court Delgamuth-Gasteway case in 1997. The court ruled Aboriginal title exists from the ancestral use and occupation of their land. But the judge sent it back to the BC courts for the Gitxsan and the Wet'suwet'en to prove the title. A new trial never took place. Since then, there have been conflicts over the land and resource projects like the Coastal GasLink project. Gitxsan House spokesperson Denzel Sutherland Wilson said they are protecting their territory from potential clear-cutting. Their head chief, Jiba Sa, set up a gate, stating they did not give consent to the logging in their traditional territory of the House, or La Heap.
To realize we need to do this on our own, by our own laws and by on our own authority and power, not through provincial recognition or through permitting or through... We don't have any trust for the province to caretake our territory.
In mid-May, the BC Ministry of Forests sent a contractor to remove the gate. He was turned away by a group of Gitxsan House members. The Ministry of Forests responded to APTN News with an email statement saying they are in contact with the chiefs and the logging company has ceased operations. FLNRO has temporarily suspended operations in the area to allow engagement to happen.
They have two rooms in the back and it'll be open.
Wilp Gitxsan House say they're here to stay. Della May and her spouse arrived over a week ago. They have tents set up off the forestry road. She is grateful to learn her culture after facing a difficult time with housing.
I had nowhere to go for a while, like I didn't know where to go or where to turn. But I was told I could come back home, I could have a home. Sorry. Just a lot of weight, just get off.
Elaine Gunnanute has been living here on and off since 2018. This time, she brought her grandchildren.
They're learning that the Wilp is, and the land is their kitchen. They know that they could get their food here, right? They'll never go hungry on the land.
Sutherland Wilson says in their traditional ways, as house members, they all have responsibility to take care of and have a healthy territory.
It's our next move in this fight that we've been going on for the last 150 years, basically. But it's also just for our own healing and for our own peace and like.
Gitxsan House are coming together as a strong house, supporting one another.
This is where we belong. She belongs. Each and every one of us. The future, it's a very big territory where our family are already wanting to build their area.
Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Kispiox.
We always want to hear what you have to say about anything you've seen here. Here's how you can continue the conversation. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca or leave a comment on our website, aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. In a little over a week, a new national chief of the Assembly of First Nations is likely to be selected. We'll speak with one of the candidates after the break. Welcome back. The race for National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations is quickly coming to an end. Following 2 terms at the helm, Perry Bellegarde has decided not to seek a 3rd term. APTN News is speaking with all of the 7 candidates vying for the job ahead of the July 7th virtual election. Joining us today is Jody Calahoo Stonehouse. Jody, thanks for being with us. You're a former band counselor, a director and producer, educator. Why have you decided to run for National Chief?
Good day, Dennis. Thanks for your question. I had a dream when I was in junior high school and told my grade 8 social studies class that my mushum was introducing me as the first woman to be the National Chief. And the class laughed at me, so I never forgot my dream, and I've been working towards it ever since. So all of the things that I've done around my post-secondary education, being a commissioner for the Edmonton City Police, have all been about systems thinking to develop and train me on what I might bring to the National Assembly.
That's a pretty awesome story there. Well, what do you see as the priorities for the next National Chief?
We have so much work to do as we see climate change really impacting our people. You know, today I was out in the river valley and I was thinking about the fish. As the planet warms up, this is really going to impact our fish. We need to have a climate strategy right away. One of the big important steps we need to do at the national level is create some data sovereignty and do some work around resolution systems thinking. So when the chiefs in assembly make a resolution, what is that data bank? What decisions have been made? What are the results? What are the outcomes? What are our next steps? We need to do things a little bit more innovatively so that chiefs and assemblies can make the best decisions possible for their nations. So climate change is on the forefront for sure. And then of course, as you know, the Indian residential school work we need to do around healing and lifting our nations is going to take some energy, some love, and some time.
Jody, typically, you'd be likely out on the road traveling from nation to nation to nation, not happening this time around because of the pandemic. So what would you like people to know about you heading into the final days of this election?
It has been a very different year for all of us through our pandemic, and I hope that each of you have kept yourselves and your families safe. But this demonstrates that things are different, and so we need to choose different leaders, different styles of doing things. The future is unpredictable, and we know we need to be innovative and strategize. And I think if people need to know anything, it's that I'm a hard worker, I'm committed, and I'm here to do the best I can to lift the chiefs in assembly. And I really look forward to meeting people on the road once it's safe to do so.
Jody, we'll have to leave it there, but appreciate you taking some time here today, and good luck.
Hi, Nanaskaman, Ken. Take care. Thank you.
Well, the AFN's annual General Assembly kicks off next Tuesday online. And as you just saw, we've been bringing you profiles of the people vying to become National Chief. But so much of what the AFN does is in the details. And those details are in the resolutions. Our Kent Driscoll joins us now from Iqaluit, Nunavut. He's been looking into what the AFN is going to be voting on next week. Kent, what jumps out at you from the motions?
Thanks, Dennis. And to start off, there are 2 small First Nations that are looking to have a larger say. Lennox Island and Ebiguit First Nation are the 2 First Nation communities on Prince Edward Island. Now, back in 2019, they got a motion passed to consider amending the AFN charter to give PEI their own regional chief. And now it's come back up for debate. Now, that would give them a much larger voice. Their concerns would no longer be rolled in with the other Atlantic region chiefs, and it would surely help them in their government-to-government negotiations with the government of Prince Edward Island. The other concern, though, there's only around 2,700 Indigenous people in total living on Prince Edward Island, not just First Nation. That number includes Métis and Inuit who live there. And so the debate will be in part about whether they should get a larger voice. I'm going to be talking with the Lennox Island chief, Darlene Bernard, later this week, and I'm sure she'll be able to explain to us why they want that extra voice.
Kent, of course, another big thing here that could see the whole thing derailed is a push from the West to delay the election of the national chief. What can you tell us about that?
No, that's very interesting to me, Dennis. The Squamish First Nation in BC and the Gitxsan First Nation in the Yukon are behind a motion to call for a delay in the election of the national chief. Now, their motion says they've been writing officials since the beginning of April pushing for the election to be delayed until it can be done in person. Now, some of their supporting arguments, they have concerns about fairness in the current format, about whether the AFN charter provides for online elections even. And they don't want to push it back too far, though. They say in the motion they would like the vote for national chief to be completed by the end of 2021.
Kent, as always, the AFN will have much to talk about on how to deal with the federal government, and there are some motions that do reflect that as well.
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole raft of motions, Dennis, that you could characterize as the AFN directs the federal government to, and then fill in the AFN priority you're looking at there. And none of them are a real secret to anybody who follows the AFN at all. Legislation for promoting First Nations policing, implementation of the recommendations from the MMIWG inquiry, early learning and childcare funding, Indigenous language funding model, infrastructure. Like, it isn't just a big meeting and election. The AFN sets their lobbying priorities for the whole year here, and those are definitely going to be some of them.
Well, it's going to be an interesting night. Kent, thanks for being here to speak with us about some of the motions.
Well, I'm looking forward to covering it, Dennis. Thank you.
And of course, you can find much more about the race for national chief and what's going to be unfolding virtually next week at the AFN's assembly by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. Time now for another quick break, but stick around. There's more to come. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Gail French was able to snap a shot of 2 hummingbirds having a drink just outside her home on her porch. Thanks for sending that in, Gail. You can send your photos to, or email your photos to us at share@aptn.ca. And then tune in to watch our photo of the day segment to see if your photo is our next photo of the day. Well, it's a hot one outside. Let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 21 for St. John's, 30 with showers for Fredericton. 11 with rain in Nain, 10 with showers for Cartwright. 29 and rain for Montreal, 17 with showers for Chibougamau. 23 and rain for Sault Ste. Marie and North Bay. 28 and rain for Thunder Bay and Sioux Lookout. Sunny in the north of Manitoba, 22 in Churchill, 27 for God's Lake and Norway House. 30 in Winnipeg, sunny, and 32 for Brandon and Dauphin. 34 in Saskatoon, 36 under sunny skies in North Battleford. 38 for Uranium City and Stony Rapids. That heat wave continues in northern Alberta, 41 in Fort McMurray under sunny skies, 38 in Fort Chip, 37 for Edmonton, Medicine Hat, and Lethbridge. A scorcher in Penticton, 43 above, showers and 43 for Kamloops. 33 and rain in Prince George, 25 for Dease Lake. 20 in Old Crow, showers and 26 for Watson Lake. 28 in Yellowknife with rain, 22 for Norman Wells. +4 with a chance of snow for Sax Harbor, cloudy and 11 in Pawlatuck. 15 in Chesterfield, 21 in Baker Lake. +3 with snow in Resolute, 10 and rain in Igloo Lake. Going to be a hot one out there tomorrow. Stay hydrated. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Tuesday. For news anytime, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. Stick around. Encore presentation of Face to Face is up next. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night.